The Fun Guy here. We're back with another painting tutorial. For this, I did do a past video on painting the seraphon, but it was quite a while ago for the skinks, but we're going to repaint another skink just because I want to. So for this, we're going to focus on the skink skin. And naturally, well not naturally, we're going to use a base coat of Baharoth Blue. Now Baharoth Blue is a layer paint, so you might need 2 to 3 thin coats, but don't worry, just take your time and make sure you thin down your paints, and that's it. So this is a layer paint, so we don't need to thin it down too much, but we do need to thin it down a little bit so that way it goes smoothly on the model. Just a little bit of water. There we go. Perfect. All right, now onto the skink. Basically, what we're going to do is going to paint all over the skink. So basically all over his skin. You can go over the scales for the time being because we're going to paint those a different color. But basically, just use thin coats when going over the skin of the skink. And don't worry, just take your time, and it'll be really worth the effort. Get some more paint. And basically what we're going to do, just base coat all over the skink's skin. Now you may be wondering, why is the skink this color? Well, in lore and also in Age of Sigmar, the skinks have a nice bright blue color, where it's almost like a cyan in a way, but basically it's just a bright blue color for their skin. The scales are a different color, but we are going to cover that in just a minute. Alright, with the skin now drying, we're now going to focus on the black details of the miniature. For this, we're going to go with the Batten Black. So, what we're going to do, we're going to focus on the weapons that he has. If your skink has a shield, make sure you use Caliban Green on the shield. But basically, we're just painting the black parts of the weapons. So basically, take some Batten Black, thin it down. What we're going to do is simple. Basically, what we're going to do is see this little dart pipe right here? We're going to paint that with the Batten Black. And also for the Moonstone Club, basically on this back part right here, the club. You will paint gold over the trim later, but don't worry, just paint it over with the Batten Black for right now. And be very, very careful not to hit the skin. But don't worry, if you do, you can go back and tidy it up. It may take a little bit, but don't worry, just take your time. Alright, with the black details now painted in, we are now going to shade the skin. So for the skin of the skink, basically what we're going to do, we're going to take Drakenhof Nightshade and thin it down a little bit. So what we're going to do, shake up the Drakenhof Nightshade like so. Okay, there we go. What we're going to do, take some Drakenhof Nightshade, put on the palette like so. All we're going to do is basically going to take some water, and we are going to thin it down just a little bit so that way it doesn't overpower that really dark, the really bright skin. Okay, perfect. So what we're going to do, as soon as I pick up the miniature, we're going to go all over the skin, because as you can see when it's thinned down, it doesn't really overdarken the skin. It just shades in a little bit. Just make sure you soak up the flatter recesses, and make sure there's no pooling on the miniature. Just take your time, and it'll be really worth the effort. So if you look here, basically on the sail as well, you can kind of get it on the scales. Right now it's not really going to hurt anything. Again, we're going to paint that over with a contrast paint later. But all over, just go all over with Drakenhof Nightshade. Alright, that's the skin shaded. Alright, while the wash is now drying, we're now going to paint the gold on the miniature. For this, we're going to use Retributor Armor. So, you want to be very, very careful with this because we don't want to contaminate any other paint on the skin or whatever. So what we're going to do is we're going to look for any jewelry that the skink might be wearing. So the skink may have a necklace or not. The skink may have wristbands, which they do, and probably on his legs too. This one has none on his legs, but he does have 2 on his arms. So for this one, we're basically going to base coat this one with Retributor Armor. Just be very careful not to hit the skin. Just be very, very careful. A little more gold. And then on the weapon, like I said, The weapon has a gold trim, so just be very, very careful with that. Just try not to hit the black. Don't worry if you do, though. You can just tidy that up later. Alright, with the gold now painted, what we're going to do is going to re-highlight the skin back up. For this, we're going to go back to Baharoth Blue. So what we're going to do is that you can layer if you want, but we're also going to start dry brushing. So we're going to take some on our dry brush like so. And like I said in the past, dry brushing is basically where you take some paint on the brush and wipe most of it off on paper towel or whatever, or tissue paper, and then basically just flick it gently across the miniature. So, some parts you can layer, but I'm going to make a dry brush for some of these right here. Gentle dry brush. And basically we're just re-highlighting the skin back up. That's all. If you hit the gold, don't worry. You can just go back and repaint that later. Alright, and after the dry brush, if you want to layer your skink and make it a little more solid, we're going to take our fine brush, get some more Baharoth Blue, and basically what we're going to do is thin down the paint a little bit, not too much. Basically, we're going to put this on the flatter details, which is going to make it a little more brighter. So for right here on the tail, for example, just paint all over the tail. You can also go on the raised areas like here, like some of the muscles, like so. If you want to make it more solid blue, then there you go. And especially around the face, if you look really closely, he does have some flat areas, like say for the top of the mouth, like right so. Head, and also the lower jaw. And also his chest too, if you want to do that as well. Now for the teeth on his weapon or the club, we're going to use Morgoth's bone. So what we're going to do, take some Morgoth's bone, shake it up, and we are going to put some on the teeth of the weapon. And if your skink has teeth and its mouth showing, you can paint this in with this color as well. Thin it down a little bit. There we go, perfect. All we're going to do is if you look right here onto the teeth, right so, like so, we're basically going to paint the teeth on the club with Morgoth's bone. Be careful, only hit the teeth and not the weapon or the skin. There we go, and that's the teeth on the weapon done. Alright, now it's time to paint the skink's eyes. So for the eyes, we're basically going to use a nice space coat of Averland Sunset. So what we're going to do, take some Averland Sunset. I'm going to take some onto the palette on my table right here. Take a little bit, not much. What we're going to do is going to, we're going to get some more paint just in case. There we go. What we're going to do, take some Averland Sunset and look at the eyes of the skink. So we're right here for the eye, just the eye. Make sure there's not much paint on your brush. What we're going to do is just paint the eye with Averland Sunset. There we go. And on this side where you can see it more clearly, basically what we're going to do, look for the eye and not the eyelid. Just gently base coat that in. All right, and that's the eyes done. Start shading in the teeth on the weapon. So for this, we're going to use Seraphon Sepia. So what we're going to do, take the Seraphon Sepia. All we're going to do, shake up the wash like so. Make sure I open the lid. This one likes to stay closed, which is weird. So what we're going to do, we're going to take this little brush right here, take some Seraphon Sepia, and just basically just put it on the palette, on the salvator table. So for here, only go onto the teeth of the miniature. Basically, by teeth, I mean if he has a little bit of teeth in his mouth, you can if you want, but I'm just going to shade this in with Seraphon Sepia. All right, that's the teeth done. All right, and now for the eyes, we're going to go back to Abaddon Black. So what we're going to do, we're going to paint in pupils on the eyes. Now, skinks have slit pupils and not round. So what we're going to do is going to take some bad and black. Make sure there's very, very little in the brush. Make sure there's very, very little. What we're going to do is going to basically make sure there's a fine tip on the brush, just like this. And what we're going to do is simple. Look for the eye. And what we're going to do is going to paint a little slit. Watch this. So there we go. And that's a skink pupil. And we're going to do this on the other side as well. All right, that's the pupils done. Finally paint the back scales. So for this, we're going to use a smaller brush right here. We're going to take contrast paint, Achillean green. So what we're going to do, take some Achillean green, and what we're going to do, check out the paint like so. So what we're going to do, take some Achillean green. We don't need much. What we're going to do is going to take some Achillean green, put it on the palette like so, and basically just go over these back scales. So what we're going to do, just put this paint on the back scales like so. Try not to get it on the skin, and it'll be look really cool. And also there's individual scales right here. You can switch to a smaller brush, or you can do this, wipe off most of the paint, and just dot in those scales like so. And all you do, just continue with the rest of it, and yeah. All right, that's the scales done. And now for the shading of the gold, for this we're going to use Flesh Wash. So what we're going to do, check out the paint like so. Basically what we need this wash for is just for shading all over the gold. So what we're going to do, oh, and also he has a gold necklace, he has a gold necklace on his neck. I forgot to get that, but I picked it up earlier. Oops. Take some Flesh Wash, squeeze a little bit out. What we're going to do, we are going to thin this down a little bit because this shade is rather thick. So what we're going to do, take the wash, and what we're going to do is thin it down a little bit. Perfect. What we're going to do is going to go all over the gold. So look right here on his bracelet, on the Moonstone Club bracelet right here. You can try to do it on his neck. Just be the necklace. Just be very, very careful. All right, and that's the gold shaded. Alright, this concludes today's tutorial. This is how you can quickly paint up your skinks for your seraphon army up to battle ready standard. Battle ready being like where it's ready to go on a tabletop, parade ready is more detail focused, but I just wanted to show a quick and easy tutorial. So, I really hope you enjoy painting your skinks for your seraphon armies, but of course feel free to paint your miniatures however you wish. Happy painting! Bye bye!